The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the New Media Factory. Some programs on this network might include strong images and language and may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi all, welcome to the theBobberyCast again, here at Beyond the Box. Thanks to New Media Factory, the kind folks over at nmfnetwork.tv this week, because Jay couldn't make it. Again, I had to bring in some expertise, because as usual, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't have any clue about what we're going to talk either. So, meet Ray from JFDI Asia. And Christian Besler. I don't think Christian needs any introduction, and if he does, he will do that.
Now with beard.
Now with even more beard.
Right.
Although no one can see it, Christian.
Well, my elevator operators were complaining that I'm looking a bit rough around there.
Do you now have to show your ID when you come in?
Yeah, they count the beers as well.
Ray, welcome to the Philippines. You've been here now for almost a week.
Yeah.
A week?
And I drank almost every day. Yeah.
Well,
That sounds like
Sounds
welcome to the startup PH team.
right. It's been really cool.
JFDI.
JFDI, that's right. That's supposed to be green fog, right?
Yeah, and we're still on Mars. We are going to be... you guys ready? Because we're also going to be warped from here to Amsterdam
Awesome.
at some point.
Cool.
I didn't put a seatbelt on.
It's okay. Your beard may have a little
Gravity.
bit of damage, but it should work.
No, I think it will help with the gravity and all that stuff. actually.
Right. I
And
think-
actually, the fault, the original reason behind this whole beard challenge is that guy here,
Yeah,
and another one
right here.
which called it Michael Nongdi, which
Trippy.
invented a new phrase. It's called the Nongdi situation. So imagine you have two nuclear blasts in a single room. That's called a Nongdi situation. Back to JFDI. Come on, what's JFDI about?
Oh yeah, JFDI. So I'm in town to meet startups, and that's how I got linked up with these guys.
Then you have to drink beer. That's obvious.
Yeah, and I met a lot of.
So that was the
Developers.
whole story. A whole week here. I meet startups. I get drunk,
I love your expense account.
and that is why you guys want to incubate us so we can drink even more.
Right. No, but we try to bring the expertise to Singapore, so we'll drink more there.
How does it work?
How does it work?
You're the ambassador, right?
Yeah.
So how does JFDI work?
JFDI is a 3-month program. It's mentorship driven, and we incubate about 10 to 12 teams, and we had 12 teams last round.
Yeah, I heard like Family Co was
Yep.
started Hobby Mesh startup weekend one.
Started weekend one.
One
yeah.
startup weekend Manila one. Hobby Mesh went over. Then 50 days into the program, and Fear, Anger, and Sweat they changed to Family Co. Right?
They did, and they have, they're doing exciting stuff.
Yeah, they came back and they were saying the mentorship is awesome. So they got like, you guys got some good lineup and
Yeah, I
Flying
think
them
because they're really now they're focusing on sort of like the video conferencing technology. So I think really the key, highlight for them was being able to talk to the co-founder of Skype,
yeah.
and that's something that they talked about quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we bring in mentors from all over Asia, around the Europe or the US if they're in town.
Yeah, the Flocation guys, they just raced
Yeah.
recently around, right? With
Yeah,
Innovate, Singtel Innovate, and the TNF Ventures,
TNF,
which is pretty,
correct.
pretty new in Singapore, right? And
Mhm.
they, like, it's so funny, the Singaporeans, no offense, they always put like, I raised 500,000, it's like 0.537 thousand, million Singapore dollars.
Right,
It's
right,
always
right,
like,
right.
it always has to be sound like a million. or something.
Right. So that deal took 7 months to close, and
I think it's quite normal.
yeah, but yeah, I guess like more than half, like 60-70% of all the companies were able to
Yeah.
close a round from that batch.
And you put him in a room like for 100 days, right?
Exactly,
And then
yeah.
It's like quarantine, landlocked.
Walking
sealed
Dead.
up and
So the
Walking
complete campus environment experience the startups get for 100 days.
Yeah, so from conception to investment in 100
Yeah,
days.
Franky is a sucker for this campus incubation thing.
No, it's not that I'm a sucker for it, but I believe in it. Like also, if you look at Google,
They did it in London, right? Or where did they did the campus? In London, right?
yeah, but also in Palo Alto. The thing is, like in Google nowadays, obviously they have less engineers that enter the campus, but basically everyone initially joined the campus,
Yeah.
and everyone gets a cleaning lady. They come and pick up your laundry. They even pay for happy hour. The company pays, and the idea behind that is you at no point have to switch off. Rather than, oh, now I have to do my laundry, now I have to start cooking because I need food, even though I'm a developer, like I still have to take care of having enough ramen pot noodles in the, and I need to go shopping. And the idea behind that is you can constantly focus on the work, then enter on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. In the early years, they did that like pretty much every day, that they paid for happy hour, and there you would meet developers of another department. And for example, what you were working on, your 80-20, your 20%, you would say like, you know, Paul Buchheit, I'm building this email program, but I don't manage to make it scale, to pass the stress test. And you know, you've got this other genius from another department, works at AdSense, which scales brilliantly, and he says, have you tried this? Oh, light bulb moment. They go from the pub, which is of course also on the campus, they go directly back to their desktop and start hacking away.
All right. Well, that's your program is a bit different, even though I think Mang Wong is cooking sometimes.
Yeah, he is. But we don't have
to
a
take out your laundry yourself.
yeah, we don't have a masseuse either, which would be
that's
kind of nice.
that's crucial, I think. I mean, come on, you can live without food, but masseuse.
I think you could find some Pinay masseuses you could fly into Singapore as an
No,
OFW.
they ramped up immigration now. That's I think one of the biggest.
Well, we
problems
need to
now.
test out the masseuse first. So Kickstart's new space.
We
should
open in
have-
January. Yeah. I'm not so sure if we have a masseuse.
Is there an application for a masseuse position?
You want to apply?
Maybe.
And I was just about to say, I think we could convince Dan about that. Dan, like, you know where that new screen is you're
Yeah.
getting, like, you want to enjoy watching it while I'm having a massage?
No, I don't think so. But yeah, we opened our office in January. Finally, it took us a bit to get it done in Paseo de Rojos. But you guys moved just out of Block 71 to, what did you move now?
We
to
moved
Mix
to
77, right?
Yeah, we did, and then we're back at Block 71.
Really?
Yeah.
But not in the old Innovate
No,
space.
no, not in the Innovate
In
space.
the NUS or what?
We have our own space,
Ah,
and
cool.
it's about the same size as Innovate. Maybe
Okay.
actually maybe a little larger, and it's
Did they allow you to take out the plants?
I don't know if we have plants anymore. We
Yeah.
have a lot of coffee though. We have an
Alright.
espresso machine, and
Cool.
hopefully, you know.
So you guys do a
Full kitchen.
100-day program. When does it start? I mean, when is the application deadline?
Application deadline is Christmas Eve. Yeah, application started a week ago, and we've already gotten quite a number of applicants.
You know what I like about the JFDI program is like, if you look at how we do here, like we operate all locally, right? You guys actually are, say, you know, even you got people in from Europe and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that, right? It's actually a cool drive to Singapore, right? That's a bit. I'm not yet really sure if somebody would go from Europe to the Philippines and say, I'm gonna run a business here, right? There's still a bit of a hurdle, right? Singapore is for them like, well, I call it the Switzerland of Asia, right? Except you
Very
can't go
much.
skiing.
It's
there.
very
Yeah.
much you come at the airport from Europe, you're in tech, and it's like there is that virtual sign, welcome to the Singapore bubble.
And then from there it goes straight over.
Yeah, but I mean, so we did have teams. You know, 80% of our teams came outside of Singapore, right? So we had.
Is that an indicator how the entrepreneurial scene is in Singapore?
Yeah, I think it's part of the mission, right? Like we're trying to build a network of like awesome startups.
80%. Wow, that's
in-
quite a lot.
Yeah, in Asia. And the teams that came from New Zealand or came from Amsterdam last batch, they ended up staying, right? They ended
Yeah.
up staying in the region. I mean, they were building a product for Asia, in Asia. And a lot of teams stay for a couple months after fundraising. They went back to their home market.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because they were always working on, you know, like Family Co came back here, ShopSpot went to Thailand.
Yeah.
But this is all like everything built up to that demo day. And the demo day, I don't know if it's I know like, you know, Launch Garage has a demo day as well. And we try to bring in investors from the region to take a look at these startups.
Yeah. You guys had I know we didn't make it because we were busy. I think with our startup weekend actually, but Minette went there on a demo day, I heard, and then you guys had a demo thing in a nightclub. That was very impressive. I heard. Rather than having somebody dancing, it was like startups dancing for cash or something.
Right. It was.
And they had actually poker money to throw at, right? To say they were asking actually investors to say like, if you could, how much would you put in actually?
It was a fun event. Yeah. And the YouTubes are online.
Yeah. Well,
So,
the pictures look like smooth.
I think they also put in a lot of work. Like all these founders, like first month is to find a problem to solve. The second month is trying the problem solution fit. You know, we really focus on the Ash Moria sort of lean canvas, like lean startup sort of approach.
Yeah, well, you're a lean startup warrior from your background.
Yeah, I do like talking about lean. And
well, you were not just talking; you were actually doing it, right? Lean startup machine, right?
Yeah.
I saw you guys in Singapore in action.
And which like I think lean is sort of talked about in Manila as well, right? Like I've heard a couple people reference it.
Well, you know, I remember we were in town for a workshop with the Innovate guys, and we were invited. And I came in, and then they landed the Cebu Pacific airplane landed, and there were like 20 Cebuanos coming out. Hey, you guys! So it was was actually a strong Philippine presence.
There was, the guys of Care Sharing in Cebu.
Yeah.
They are introducing
Harms.
lean startup org.
They're doing a workshop. I think
Yeah.
Harms and JP.
Yeah.
You know.
Care Sharing.
And it was too bad. JP was supposed to come as well, but his passport expired or something. And
It's better he
was,
doesn't leave Cebu, trust me. His Facebook account got shut down. There's a reason for that.
At least, if you invited, do not tell immigration he's coming. It's like Clark Way will be empty.
Clark
But
K will be
they do a
empty.
cool program in Cebu. They actually they're like two successful startup founders like Harms and JP, and they do actually really cool lean startup education. I mean, you know, walk the talk rather than just like here's the book and
Exactly.
you know,
I mean,
read it and then you know
the book is not enough. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's lean startup is a bit of a hype here. It's a buzzword, right?
Yeah, it is.
But if you then go a little bit deeper, people are usually I take one more.
Here it's really at the moment, it's hype, but it's not applied too much.
No, unfortunately
If you look
not.
in the programs of, okay, what did you learn now? Lean, you tell me, like, what are you doing? And then you look like, oh, and where was the lean startup part? Because every time I tell you, like, cut this, like, focus on this, before you start adding all those features, not in the way of lean cannot have features, but, you know, like, get validation.
Right.
Yeah, but we still think that those features which we think are necessary, that our users will also need them and will join. Like, yeah, but did you ask the users?
They have a great thing. It's like get out of the building, right?
Right.
That's where you literally kick them out of the door, and say, here, do the Mission Impossible and try to actually get a feedback.
Try to sell
Are
something.
you guys merging that into? Are you guys applying that into the JFDI thing?
I think we're definitely, because of my background and also my buddy Nate, who was with me running LSM, we're gonna really push the teams on doing a lot of customer validation in the beginning.
Cool guys. In hybrid, very high, warm. Singapore getting pushed out. It's like sounds like more like a fitness program.
I mean, get lean, right?
Yeah. Did you guys change the terms of the JFDI thing, or is it still the same? What was it, 15,000 Singapore dollars?
Oh, it's actually, so this batch we're gonna invest 25. 25K
Why?
Singapore dollars.
Is it just rule of thumb? It was needed a bit more, or is it cost
No,
of living went up?
Cost of living. I think cost of living in Singapore is pretty high.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's in line with what the other incubators are doing.
Okay.
They're 20K from Y Combinator, even though they have like that 80K from.
Well, that
follow-on.
went down from 150.
150,
to 80,
yeah.
which 150 is ridiculous. Right? So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think convertible debt is tricky.
yeah.
But anyways, but that's in that same ballpark. I
Okay.
think. Yeah, and we do take some equity. It's actual investment. It's
Yeah.
not just a
Yeah.
grant.
When
Yeah,
does it
so-
start again?
It's February 13th, I believe.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Is that a Friday?
I don't know. That would be kind of cool.
The Friday before Valentine's
Yeah.
Day in Singapore.
Sorry, honey, you gotta go build a startup. See you in 100 days.
Yeah.
Come and visit me, but we didn't get so much funding. See you in 3 months.
Yeah. Let's see. That's decision making.
So like you have a big background in lean startup.
Mhm.
It's a pet peeve. Do you also train the people when they go for customer validation in the art of asking a question?
Yeah, actually, I think that is the whole art of.
Because I
Yes,
get
sir.
very
Yeah.
often like, did you validate it? Yes, we ask 100 users, like, would you use it? Yes. But did you ask them if they would switch from the platform they use now to what you are
Right.
building?
What's the pain point?
Yeah, I think Christian mentioned it, like pain point, right? Like you
Yeah.
need to frame it, and by asking people, if you ask people a question, they're always gonna tell you yes.
Yeah.
Like any sort of like, people are nice. People are gonna tell you yes, I have this problem. Yes, actually they really mean is yes. Fuck off, like stop bothering me,
Yeah.
right?
My problem is always when they say, ask my friends. And during Startup Weekend, I always say, and I think, I got Zach from Startup Weekend looked weird at me when I said, don't ask your friends. Your friends would be so
Yeah.
polite to say,
Yeah, they can't call your baby
love
ugly.
it, I love it.
Yeah,
Yes. Nobody
I-
calls your kid ugly. Because
I
they're
have
friends.
that problem too, which I didn't know I had until you asked me.
No, because
That's
I usually-
usually the situation if you ask your friends or your family.
Right.
They're gonna be polite. They're gonna say it's
Yeah.
awesome, it's great, it's gonna
Yeah.
rock the stars, right? Then you push it out there, and then you have a click-through rate which actually turns negative. That means people jump off before they go there. So,
Google Analytics, yeah.
yeah. Is there like a program where you say like this is how you ask questions, like you phrase it in a way that they actually answer it without being polite or
Yeah,
objective?
so I think the key here is really how do you ask questions that are open-ended and
Yeah.
not a lead-on question, and you have to be aware of like observer's bias, right, and
Yeah.
also confirmation bias. And
And then there's sometimes you should not record it because they're not.
yeah, it might
not gonna
influence.
it might influence their position.
But then coming back to the friends thing, I think like friends and family are great if they really have your problem, but instead of actually asking them if they have this problem, ask them who do they know that have this problem.
Yeah.
So the 1 degree of separation actually helps a lot because those people don't actually know you,
Yeah.
but because your friends and family share the same sentiments, if they do, they really will know some other people that actually have the same problem. So it's a snowball effect,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then every time you do customer validation, customer sort of interview, you ask the person, who else do you know that has this
Yeah.
problem? If they truly have this particular problem you're trying to solve, they're going to be very passionate. They will want to put everyone in touch with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you learn that stuff?
I think trial and error, right? Like
Alright.
it was definitely. I yesterday we were talking about this a little bit. I shared about my startup experience. I failed 2 startups, and one of them the team broke up, so it wasn't that spectacular.
Yeah.
The other one was
Learning.
I've learned. The other one was basically I thought I was doing lean, and I wasn't. I was asking every single person if they care about startup failures, and there was a website that captures startup failures, share the stories of startup failures, and I went to I didn't share the details, but I actually went to a conference called Falcon.
Oh,
Falcon.
Yeah. Vinny Lara pulled us off.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Singapore,
yeah.
right?
Christine Loria, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, his wife.
Yeah, his
All right.
wife. But
Sorry, give the wrong credit.
but Vinny is obviously all behind it too. So I went to, I don't know, maybe the second or third Falcon in San Francisco. And, got in there.
And that's really where people share their
Yeah, it was like 400
bleeding
people.
heart stories, like what went wrong.
Yeah, 400 people were there to attend this Falcon.
Yeah.
Supposedly interested in failures, right? And I express printed like 200 stickers that costed me, I think, $100 because I had to do it the next day. Because I bought the ticket to go to Falcon all within like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Because I finally pushed everything up, my website was ready. I was like, cool, let me show these people what I'm trying to do. It's called What Failed Us. It's actually still live right now. Basically went out there and was like, hey, so I have this idea where if everyone shares their start of failure experience, like maybe we can learn from each other.
Yeah,
You know?
learning's how Phil Morley calls it.
Yeah.
Learning, yeah.
And if that's the case, like maybe no one else will fail anymore, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my vision was like every entrepreneur will succeed, and
We'll hug you and say, here.
yeah, and investors will like succeed, and
Yeah.
there will be world peace, right? Like that's really
Sorry, I
In a
just came
perfect
out-
vision.
just came out
world.
of a war crime situation.
Neil D situation.
Yeah, I was a Nong D situation.
Yeah.
Apocalypse Now was playing.
but okay, I mean, I literally gave out 200 stickers. I had no more stickers. I gave out all my business cards, and one person
Yeah.
out of at least 200 actually check out the website and submitted something.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
a good return rate.
Yeah, it's
No, I'm just being
absolutely
sarcastic
yeah.
here.
It's
Especially at Failcon,
Yeah.
a website project. What failed us? We are here 400 people admitting we kind of failed or
Yeah.
are interested in fail.
But
So-
the culture-wise, that works in the US or not
Mm.
even in Europe, because Europe failure is a big stigma.
Right,
You know,
right,
where,
right.
the government puts you in a state of where 7 years where you hardly get a credit card, you won't get a car loan. You try to, we call it under the radar, right?
Are
But-
you trying to convince us that there is success in failure? How does that
Yes.
exactly work?
Sorry, so
That's the
societies are
European
not,
way.
Societies are not based on failure; they're only based on.
So you blew $4 million of your investors, and now you're back here and you want money for your next startup.
Yeah, but the thing is, investors in Silicon Valley actually look for
Yeah.
people that fail,
Yeah,
right?
it's-
Like it's
How does it work out in Asia, in your opinion, in Singapore?
Um,
in particular?
so-
Like, Singapore might be a little bit ahead of
Yeah.
the leap in terms of
sure.
international exposure investors. I mean, it's like you can actually track how many times Dave Mickler and everybody else flies through Singapore to go to some other hotspot in the world. So they're actually bringing that culture with them.
Yeah.
But is it actually already arrived in Singapore that when you blew off money that they will say, thanks,
Good
Pat,
job.
good
Yeah.
job, move
What's
on.
the next thing you're
Yeah.
doing?
Is it already there, or is it just like, okay, we're trying it out?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if the investors' understanding is there, but I do know that it's still really hard to admit failure in Singapore. You know, it's a cultural thing, right?
No, it's very Asian that
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
fail.
And I mean, I was in China. I spent 2 months in China. I spent 2 months in Singapore, a month in Sydney. I mean, even Sydney, it was like something people don't really talk about.
Okay.
Right. I think in the U.S. also, like, it sounds like failure is something that entrepreneurs are adapting to or accepting, or more opens their arms for it. But it's not really.
It's actually
still,
funny, because
yeah.
failure is in humans' history is the stepstone forward. Evolution wouldn't have worked if it wouldn't have failed in the first place several times, and then somebody actually fall over a stone and started walking, right? So,
Yeah.
but because here we're trying to establish a culture where, failure or success, just go out there and say, I failed. I read a nice story in this book about how to build startup communities, about these guys in Boulder, Colorado that have a wake.
Yeah.
They were like, there was this
Nice.
story, the guy was saying, we're going to a wake tonight, and this visitor was like, oh, I'm really sorry, I don't have anything black to wear, what do I do? No, just wear your flip-flops and short, because the guy just failed at his startup, so they're giving him a pat on the shoulder and say, just do it, right? So, I mean, this meant you read about it, but I haven't really seen it in action here.
Right.
So I really wonder...
I mean, Boulder is a very interesting community. Like, I spent about a month there this year as well.
Yeah.
And it's really tight-knit. It's probably one of the most amazing startup communities. I think credits go to, Bratheld and his team, and also David Cohen, Techstars essentially brought a lot of startups to that city.
So who stood up in FailCon Singapore and spoke about it?
I actually don't know. I didn't get to go to the one in Singapore.
Yeah.
But Christine, I know actually Ben He was there.
Okay.
From the cats. Whatever.
I can
has
little
cheeseburgers.
cats, I can.
Yeah.
But I saw his speech that was not really focused on fail. It wasn't not people who went there, and a general message from several transcripts I got was like, F. Williams was also there if I remember. And they just said don't sit still, don't sit back, keep going.
But so
it's not a fail. Twitter could say we failed in audio. No, they never say that. It was part of our process.
Right.
How we evolved and how we continued going further.
So
it is more like it's buzzwords. There is success in fail. No, there is only success in what you learned in that period.
I think like what you said is actually really quite true, because I mean, a lot of people who share their failure stories are people that have succeeded, right? And then they're okay to talk about it. So that's why I meant in the US, even I don't think people are really that open in talking about their failure.
Yeah, they just
right.
once they reach the next step, they say,
but,
move on.
Yeah, but then I mean, that's on the flip side. One way I think of it is big failures are really hard to admit to. But what if it's small failures? If it's tidbits, really small things. So that really comes back to the lean startup idea, where if you haven't invested a lot of emotions, haven't invested a lot of energy into building small experiments, then that failure, that flurn is actually okay, and
just do it fast. Move on.
But then it is part of the process. But then it will get you from point A to somewhere. Instead of sitting on the same spot.
It is a general message I get in that whole failure is success culture. As you say, the only ones who speak up about it are the ones who have evolved.
Right.
And they will all say, no matter how simple it sounds, don't let it get to you.
Right.
Continue. Move on.
Yeah.
And see what is the flurn.
Right.
What did you learn from it? Take that with you. Don't take the actual failure with you, because you're going to end up somewhere like in MASH. Suicide is painless.
But the funny thing is, investors are actually looking for people with battle scars, somebody who's been through,
a lot of naivety has gone out of the person.
Yeah.
Right. But then flurn is actually important. I think flurn, not just fail, learn. It's actually
it has to lead to something. Yeah.
It's learn, right? I mean, failure is not a success unless you learn something.
No.
I think that's behind what people talk about failure. Dave McClure, a lot of people. Mark Suster, when he first learned about Lean Startup, it was natural to him. He didn't really buy into it. He was like, this whole fail fast thing, it's ridiculous. But then he turned around. I think it has to be very specific. You have to know.
I think if you look in the people who are slowly but surely, especially experienced people who are picking up the lean startup methodology, if they already have 4 or 5 years of tech entrepreneurship, you will very often also discover that actually they already had a lot of lean in how they worked, before agile. It's kind of an evolution, and suddenly there was the term coined by Eric, and then it became a hype. But
I mean, it is the most talked about thing in Silicon Valley. I mean, South by Southwest consistently in the last 2 years blew out, and this year I was just at San Francisco for a Lean Start conference, and the night before the Ignite, the talk, like 12 speakers spoke, 5 minutes lightning talk type of thing. That they, basically this year's conference, that one night was bigger than last year's conference. It's just like it is growing. It's
Well, what do you think in the international scene in the startups is one of the prime examples of lean as a company, a startup?
for sure. I mean, I talk about Dropbox a lot in a lot of presentations that I give. I mean, even last night I mentioned Dropbox. I mean, Dropbox story is Dropbox called itself Lean Startup. Drew Houston, before Lean Startup, the conference become a thing to go to. He has shared twice in 2010 and 2011 about his experience with Lean. Basically, they put up a fake video. You can search like Dropbox video or something. I'm sure you'll find it. It's basically he put together this fake video. He did it on one machine, and if you look closely, you could basically he shows you that this is how you set a Dropbox. This is a couple files that I modify. Let me go to my Windows machine, and those files I modify already synced. But if you look at it careful enough, it's actually a virtual machine. It's on the same machine, so the files obviously change, right?
Yeah.
But all he had to do was like lay over these check marks for Dropbox, and he didn't build anything.
I remember that video also because I used to be one of the early Dropbox adapters.
Oh, cool.
But that was also in the era back then a screencast of your product was totally V hype. Do you remember the video of Sketch?
Sketch is
screencast.
Evernote Sketch?
Evernote bought them a year ago, but it was a screen cap, like awesome screenshot, and you could add notes and everything.
Right.
And they made a screencast, but trailer type.
Yeah.
And actually, it was like, like every movie trailer. It looked awesome. You just didn't see the product or anything, but it went viral.
Actually,
it was on Dig,
that,
it was on...
And then they used the screen capture function of the Mac, right? Rather than their own sketch. I'm like, I'm going to develop that later. But
I actually know the guy who built the screencast.
But the thing is, that's actually how you should do it. You should put out a teaser and say, this is how it works. And when people say, wow, I want that, then you actually just develop it rather than like going out there like, looking in your coffee pot in the morning and thinking like, I think my customers want this awesome Bazinga feature, but nobody actually wants it, right? So it's actually the way is really faking it. And once everybody jump on it, say, sorry, it's going to be there next
Dropbox
week.
also, they were kind of the inventors of the referral bonus for a free account.
Yeah, exactly.
Which Buffer adapted as well.
Buffer is like one of my favorite.
Yeah, you mentioned it yesterday. I was also a beta tester of them, wrote before launch about it. And they had the cool thing. If you had a free account, you could buffer 10 tweets. But if you promoted it per new sign up, you got an additional tweet.
Right, yeah.
And it's a brilliant concept if you think about it. You're a freemium model, but you give an extra to your already free users.
Right.
That's how I got a large chunk of Dropbox gigabytes. I invited invited half of Globe to be Dropbox users.
Yeah. I just bought an Android where Dropbox was integrated, 50 gig, ding ding ding.
Nice.
That was funny, and all of a sudden you had like 15 gigabytes of Dropbox. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean Dropbox is really, I really appreciate like how they share their story too. Like, I mean, the thing is they, I think one key thing is the context of like why they did this video. Like Drew Houston couldn't get any investors to come on board.
Yeah.
Right.
I couldn't figure out what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there were back in 2008 there were gazillions online storage services, and people were like, "Yo, Drew, you're a smart guy. Why do you do this? Why don't you do something else, way more sexy?" And you know, but he had a conviction. It was like, I think he told a story where it was on his way. He was trying to do some work on the bus ride, like 4-hour bus ride or something, and then he forgot all the files on the USB stick, and he was really just, all right, I guess I can't do work anymore. So that's really what inspired him. So basically, he wrote the script that very day, and on the bus ride, and that was basically the basic layover of Dropbox. But then really what he could show the investor was that within 2 weeks of putting that video on Dig to show the user experience that is very different from the current offerings, he went from 5,000 beta sign up to 75,000. He basically put up a landing page and say, if you want this service, put your email here, and it blew up.
They also had a TechCrunch promo code in the beta stage.
Yeah.
Back then, when TechCrunch was still the platform where you wanted to advertise your launch or pre-launch.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's a lot of noise.
Yeah. But it's so it's so hyped here in Asia. Like everybody reads TechCrunch and has like you probably know yourself ridiculously assumptions regarding valuations and so on. Like because I read about this guy that just raised like couple of millions in California, and I want to do this as well.
Ergo, my startup idea is worth 3 times as much because I'm going to learn from him.
Yeah.
And what have you done so far? Oh, it's still an idea, but you're already worth $2 million before raising.
Right.
And it's a little bit of I always say that TechCrunch is always dragging it in the wrong direction, and usually they just always publish the nice success stories. They never publish actually 3 months later, let's say.
Yeah, but there are so many who write 3 months after TechCrunch where I was. But the people do not want to read that.
Yeah. I raised 500,000 blah 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 in the valley, and then 3 months later I just died because I spent it all.
That's where you need to come to What Failed Us, right?
Okay guys, faildesk.com.
What failed us? Yeah, what failed.us, US. Yeah.
You were considering to rebrand.
Yeah, well, actually, it was through a mentor. He was like,
be careful what you say, because the guys who come to JFDI may say like, oh, but you're my mentor, don't you come and tell me that I have to rebrand.
Yeah, but I think, there is some valid truth, like .us is really hard. People still want a .com. Yeah. And he was just like, what you're really saying is bad startups ideas, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, why don't you just get badstartupidea.com? I'm like, oh, okay. I was tentative. I was married to What Failed Us, but I'm like, of course, after he said that, I went immediately that night. Just like bought badstartupidea.com, badstartupidea.net.
Also because it's cheaper than getting it.
And how was it panning out?
Well, we haven't tried, but I think some of my friends are interested to work on this again, because a lot of people see value in this. I think definitely the value is there, but it's how can we capture the behavior of startup entrepreneurs to entice them to share.
We should have a crawler who goes to TechCrunch and then puts in a database, and 3 months later looks up if the domain is still valid. If not, why don't you write an email like, hey guys, you want to share your story?
I actually, when I was working on this actively, I was the crawler. I read every single. I had Google alerts on failure startup, fail startup. I don't know what else is there. They're actually close.
You should add the non-D moment. Right? It's very important now. Nobody makes it into Webster by tomorrow.
Right.
The thing is, I share a lot of links, obviously, on Twitter. And yes, those links tend to be the more popular ones. I buffer them.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, because you mentioned that yesterday, yes, not every day, but there are many days I get up and I buffer 20 links. I'm not all day on Twitter.
Yeah.
They are scheduled, some around every 72 or 3 minutes. Right. I share a new link, but those are popular. Yeah. The day after I got TechCrunched, after raising a 3rd round, what I was confronted with, literally not owning my company anymore. Mm-hmm. They are popular, but I do not think that the people actually go out to find them.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And
It's not like you wake up like, okay, for you it was like that because it was your startup.
Yeah.
But you don't wake up and think like, I'm going to Google who in the last 2 weeks failed.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I wanted to do this was because I actually realized I learned the most from
Yeah.
reading about people's failure.
Yeah.
And talking to people about people's failure. And I don't know if like the traditional blog insight sharing format is the right format. I think that's up for, questioning. That's up for testing. But like, but it's also, I kind of saw it as, the great vision was actually, if these startup founders failed, they are going to start something again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, if we can find these people early on, right after they failed, then we can track them and figure out what they're doing next.
But
So,
an issue is very often,
yeah.
by the time that they share it, that psychologically they are ready
Yeah.
to share it,
Yeah.
they have already moved on, have gone back to a monthly wage or started something new.
Exactly. But then that they are veterans, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
You should have a validation process if they actually learn something from it, or they still,
Yeah.
trying to push
Yeah,
the
like-
same
like
buttons
more-
twice.
Like more and more, also what Mark Andreessen said last week at the conference.
yeah.
If you come to me and you tell me you have failed 5 times, but you don't have a success story, keep on failing, but not with my money.
Right.
There needs to be a certain track record, and there needs to be a learn.
Yeah.
Right now, Mark Andreessen actually had gotten totally upset by the hype and culture of lean startup, where failure, the learn, had turned into people just promoting how often they had failed
Yeah.
without track record.
No, it should lead to a learning. It shouldn't, it's like just pivoting for the sake of a pivot. It should lead to a new.
We should give a badge. You're a learner and you're just a fail.
You're a pivoter. You imposer.
I like that. That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think learning is really important. And I mean I hope that this sort of like thinking permeates like in Philippines. I think it's still relatively not talked about.
Okay, guys, we have 2 more minutes. Closing thoughts.
All right. Okay, Ray, make a shameless plug.
Oh, shame. Well, I'm not ashamed of plugging.
All right, there goes your plug.
Very important for startups.
Right. Well,
Flash.
Well, I am traveling and I'm promoting our application being open till December 24th. Basically, if you're interested, you can go to jfdi.asia/accelerator or send me an email at ray@jfdi.asia. Our mascot is Smoochie. Basically, what you're looking at is 100-day accelerator program. We're in the global accelerator network. We run very closely to Techstars, and what we're trying to do is to work with teams that are going to succeed. We're looking for talented teams that are hacker, designer, hustler mix, taking
And
the
they have
idea.
the awesome chance to stay 100 days in Singapore, right?
100 days in Singapore, if not more, right? We hope you'll get a lot of investor traction. More than around 70% of all the teams actually raise more than $500,000 dollars.
That is .5 in Singapore. Yes.
Yeah,
Got
$5.
got 5 million because the obsession with the million. I don't know why. It's like totally cool 500.
Yeah, but I guess like one last thing about the program, what you talk about too, like we want to build a community for Asia, so we focus on bringing teams from every country like that we can. So you will be sitting in the same room, working with teams from Indonesia, from Thailand, hopefully from Japan or Korea if we get enough application this year. Yeah. Cool.
Christian.
Sign up now. What?
Yeah, and sign up, guys. Visit the site at jfdi.asia. We will also post those links in the entry tomorrow when the video is up. Christian, Kickstart. Closing thought. Final pitch.
Merry Christmas and to an awesome 2030.
2013 should be awesome. We
It's-
hope to
it-
see you again here as well, Ray.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks to the people at New Media Factory, NMFnetwork.tv. Check out the other shows as well. Good Times with Mo is starting very, very soon again. On Friday evening. Friday is also the weekend before a new phone. Like, you know, it happens every single week. A new phone is launched. You should check out the show because they have some special things. It's especially for people who like lightsabers. If you like a really thin and small screen, but really long, check it out. But there are some giveaways on Mo's show. 20 iPhones are being given away.
From the best network.
The one you can bite in. So one network, which as people know, we don't promote networks on the Bobbery. One network is giving away iPhones on Friday. Thanks to the people at Beyond the Box, where we can always make the floor a little darker in color every week.
All I say is from the better network.
So guys, you've heard it, it's on the better network. No smog here, no network is mentioned. It's the better one, apparently.
Intelligent people figure it out.
That's
So-
your plug.
I'm now going to have a bite in the better beer. Bye.